Trying to see who we have. We have Javier. What? But I forgot I did this. Hello, everyone. I'm making sure we have a quorum before we get started here. I don't see our chair or our vice chair, so I may be leading the meeting. Thank you, Javi, for putting in the chat that you're here. I see we do have Brownsville. We have San Benito, right? Yes, and then we have Valley Metro with Claudia. We have LRGVDC. Hello. And then we have Richard Cabin. I think for the vacancies that we have, it sounds like we do have a quorum. We have absent Hidalgo County, am I incorrect? So we have absent Hidalgo County, and then Vorba, and then Marisa's with us from the Caracara Trails. And then we have John Ray or Michael. It looks like they are absent so far. But okay, I'm gonna go ahead and call this meeting to order. I see that it is 10:32. Let's just keep track as we move along. Bye, Eva. Today we have a pretty busy agenda. We're gonna have a couple of presentations. I just want to acknowledge that the meeting recordings are being posted on the YouTube channel for the Rgvmpo. We also have the TJKM and more associates with SS for all the comprehensive safety action plan update. We have the TASA working group summary. I just want to present to you the results of how that went. We may, depending on time, we may have to table the FAR district bicycle plan, and I'm okay with that because I really want to give Marisa Maya a chance to present an update on the Caracara trails if we do run out of time. So with that said, we have done roll call. We established that we do have a quorum. I think Melanie will help me put the attendance up, or we'll come back and replace that. So I do want to move on to item 3, which is citizens input and public comment. Does anybody have any public comments that they'd like to make at this time? All right, hearing none. I did want to say that per our last meeting, we have linked the July meeting on the Rgvmpo Bpac, website. So we do have a playlist here under the Rgvmpo for the Bpac meetings. And so you'll see that under 2024 Bpac meetings, just in case you're looking. Can I get a motion for this acknowledgement?
I'll motion to acknowledge San Benito.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second, City of Brownsville.
Thank you, Joel. All in favor, please say aye, or if any are opposed, please
Aye.
let us know.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you. And then feel free to find those meeting recordings. I just wanted to do this one this first time since we didn't have minutes for this one, but moving forward, I likely won't be adding an acknowledgement, but those videos will be available to the public and everybody there. So moving on to item 4B, which is consideration and action to appoint new members to the Rgvmpo Bpac. As you recall, in the past meetings, we did have a call for members, and this has gone out via email. We are following our bylaws, which I like to keep at the top for everybody's reminders and for everybody to easily reference. As an update to what's recently occurred at our last meeting there in July, we did appoint the city of Harlingen to Bpac membership. Additionally, the city of Brownsville got reappointed. The city of San Benito got appointed, and then John Ray and Michael McNew got reappointed. So I just wanted to let everybody know that a presentation was made to the EDAC on July 16th, letting them know about our vacancies for the Economic Development Agency. We also did update the BPAC website to reflect current members, voting members, and I updated the contact Outlook group, Outlook contact group. So that's up to date. Of course, we know that obviously things constantly change, and this is a rolling appointment. If we continue to have vacancies, we'll continue to be able to fill them. But I just wanted to give that update to everybody. So this is what our membership currently looks like. And if you're in yellow, in orange, this currently is the last voting meeting for the term. I think for your first term, or at least for this term that you've been on. So we did receive applications from the LRGVDC, so we have the potential to reappoint. We also received an application from Vorba with the potential to reappoint, and from Richard Cavan. And so I didn't see any new applicants. I could be missing some, but we can move on. This is what I've received. And oh yeah, from the Textile Fire District as well, which they're not reflected on our membership because their term had expired in July or in August. But we'll go one by one with the applicants, but just so that you get a picture, are there any questions here about the positions that we have available to fill? Even if we did, fill all 5 positions that we received applications from, you can see here that we could potentially fill the public agencies vacancies, but we would probably still have a vacancy for Economic Development Agency and then for bicycle and pedestrian citizens. So just something to keep in mind of. Additionally, the stakeholder organizations, we haven't received applications for membership from those two. And the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, unfortunately, they did have to resign last month, like in July, and they had been absent for the 3 meetings before that. So there's just a lot of things going on personally and professionally with our members, and so those 2 positions there will be vacant also. We don't need to fill every spot on the committee, but I just wanted to kind of let everybody know where we were at before we move forward. Do we have any questions? All right, I like a thumbs up. Thanks, Javi. So we'll move on, going one by one, and then of course, if you are a voting member, please, or if you're a representative of the applicant, feel free to chime in to discuss. But we have TxDOT FAR District. Agustin Ramirez is the Transportation Engineering Supervisor, and then Edgar Perez is also a Transportation Engineer. They're both with the FAR District. They work locally, and they help us develop TASA projects. But do we have any discussion, or do we have a possible action?
Motion to approve, City of Brunsville.
Second by San Benito.
All in favor, please say aye, or if any opposed, please vocalize.
Aye.
Hearing no opposition, the motion passes. I'm not sure exactly if I heard all the ayes, but I didn't hear opposition. I know we have several voting members here. So again, voting members include everyone here. Just so you know, if in case you're wondering, you're able to vote. And yeah, just please let me know. So we did pass and have appointed FAR District TxDOT. Moving on, we have an application from the LRGVDC with Javier Dominguez and Nancy Sanchez. Do we have any discussion or possible action to reappoint?
Motion to approve, City of Brunsville.
Second by San Benito.
Thank you both. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And any opposed? Motion passes. Moving on, we have the city of FAR. Our applicant is Maria Rangel and city engineer. And then her alternate was Edwin Manrique, which is a project engineer. So I know that Maria does help us develop several projects, not just with TASA, but with other funding. But if you have any questions, comments, or if you'd like to make a motion to appoint the city of FAR, please let me know.
Motion to approve City of San Benito.
Second, Belinda Reyes, Hidalgo County.
Thanks so much. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, and then the next applicant is Vorba. As you know, David has been our chair this past year. Oh, I just realized I didn't change his names here. But David Hernandez is the founder of Vorba, and he has named Tracy Roberts as his alternate. And so I'll fix that later. But if you have any questions, please advise. Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve City of San Benito.
Thank you, Javi. I see he seconds in the chat. LRGBTC. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, I'll come back and fix those details later. And then last but not least, for the applicants that I received before today's meetings, and we have Richard Cavan. I do not see an alternate named, but as you know, Richard Cavan has been an avid member on our team. And so if we do have any discussion or you have any questions, I know he's on the call with us. Otherwise, we'll entertain a motion.
Yes, I don't know what to do with it.
Motion to approve City of San Benito.
Second, City of Bronzeville.
Thank you all. All in favor, please say aye, or if you're opposed, please vocalize.
Aye.
Hearing no, thank you. Hearing no opposition, I think the motion passes. And so just to kind of recap, I'm going to go ahead and copy paste. But all 5 of our applicants have been appointed to a new term. And so I'll go ahead and just leave that for us. Maybe I'll move these all into check marks. And yeah, welcome, guys. I'll go ahead and, of course, after the meeting, work on updating our website and our Outlook. And then, of course, moving forward, they'll be invited to vote on all meetings. The next item on our agenda is a presentation and discussion on the SS4A, which is the Safe Streets for All action plan. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Melanie from the Rgvmpo, and she'll introduce this item.
Good morning, everyone. Can you choose a slide? There you go. So I'll be going over the agenda. Items 1 and 2, I'll provide the project introduction and briefly describe the role of the BPAC. Item 3, I will go over the 4 project goals. Item 4, Nayan from the TJKM team will go over the scope of work. Item 5, Nayan will address the schedule. Item 6, Nayan will provide the preliminary collision analysis for our region. Item 7, we will open it up for discussion on the areas of concern. And then for item 8, we will discuss any further items. Next slide. So the Rgvmpo was awarded SS4A funding to develop a regional comprehensive safety action plan for all modes of transportation. The BPAC would be providing a crucial role in developing and identifying the safety initiatives and strategies for all modes of transportation within the RGV, by providing valuable input about the region so that we can define a safety action plan that enhances safety for all modes of transportation. Next slide. Goal 1 is to systemically implement proven safety solutions, initiatives, policies, and programs to eliminate preventable fatal and severe collisions by 2050. Goal 2 is to utilize a multifaceted approach that spans jurisdictions and encompasses diverse strategies, including engineering, education, and enforcement. Goal 3 is to implement improvements that promote and support safe travel for vulnerable users, including people walking and biking, children, seniors, and people with disabilities. Goal 4 is to ensure that multimodal safety investments are made in a manner that is fair and equitable for all residents. Next slide. Nayan from the TJKM team will go over the scope of work.
Nam, please
Thank
let me
you,
know if you'd
Nalini.
like to share your screen. I can stop sharing and you can go ahead and start. Or do you want me to
I
continue?
think we should. This one is good, Eva. We can
Okay.
continue.
No problem. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Nayan Amin with TJKM Transportation Consultants. We are assisting Rgvmpo in developing the SS4A funded comprehensive safety action plan for the Rgvmpo region. And based on our scope of work, we would be reviewing the existing conditions with the policies, regulations, ongoing and planned projects, as well as some funding that Rgvmpo has in place. We would be developing as a part of the project the vision and goal for the comprehensive safety action plan and conducting the crash data analysis, including the high injury network based on the text.cris database, and the collision analysis would be conducted for the counties of Cameron, Hidalgo, and Starr, along with city of Brownsville, as well as Harlington. We are conducting an extensive communication, stakeholder engagement, BPAC engagement, technical advisory, committee engagement, as well as a public outreach. Once the collision analysis is completed and the high injury network is developed, we would be developing the safe system priorities, identifying the projects and strategies that can be implemented within the region to enhance safety and mobility for all modes of transportation. In doing so, we are also conducting the equity and land use analysis to identify strategies and projects that can be implemented in disadvantaged communities. And finally, we would be developing a draft and final SS4A comprehensive safety action plan. Next slide. The schedule for the project, we got kicked off in March of 2024, and we plan to deliver over a period of 12 months a final comprehensive safety action plan that is adopted by the Rgvmpo Policy Board. On the communication and engagement, as I mentioned, that we are conducting steering committee meetings, and we have planned for 5 of them. We are going to have 3 meetings with the BPAC. One is to provide an overview of the project. We would be coming back to this committee in January of 2025 with the findings and some of the safety strategies and projects that should be implemented. And once we develop the draft action plan, we would be coming back to this committee to get their blessings or get their input on the draft action plan. We would be also holding the tech meetings in the month of October, January, and March, and then finally taking it to the policy board in March of 2025. As for now, the preliminary schedule to get the comprehensive safety action plan adopted by the policy board on March 26th. Where are we on this project? Next slide, please. We have developed a project website which is up and running on Rgvmpo website. We have completed the literature review and the technical memorandum for the literature review has been submitted. We also developed a vision and goal which has been reviewed by Rgvmpo staff, and we should be finalizing the vision and goal in the near future. We have developed a engagement plan, and that has been submitted and been approved by Rgvmpo. And the collision analysis, as I mentioned, we would be collecting the data from text.cris system, and we have collected that and we have started analyzing the collision analysis. With that, next slide. I would like to turn it over to Ruta to walk us through the findings of the preliminary collision analysis. Ruta?
Hi, hello everyone. Thank you, Nan. So we did look into the collision analysis throughout the region and throughout our area. Next slide, please. For the entire MPO, as you can see, the red line at the bottom does indicate the fatal and severe injury collisions. They're pretty consistent from year to year, from 2014 to 2023. All injury collisions have gone up recently since 2019, as you can see, from 2019 to 2023. We also looked at some monthly trends throughout the MPO, and they seem to be pretty consistent. It's very common to see daily trends that have higher collisions during weekends. So as you can see, the KSI, what we call it also fatal and severe injury collisions, the shortcut to it is KSI. They are higher over the weekends. Also hourly trends, if you look at the hourly trends, most of the times the peak periods are generally higher. So if you look at 8 to 10, they are higher, and evenings 4 to 6, they are higher. And that's probably the trend that we look at from agency to agency. It is pretty common. As far as collision by severity goes, throughout the MPO, we have 1% fatal injury collisions and 2% serious injury, followed by 8% of minor injury, 20% of possible injury, and the 69% is more of PDO, property damage only, which is not injured. It's just the property damage collisions. And that kind of gives us the overall 100% of collisions by severity. Next slide, please. We also dived into it a little bit more to look into what kind of modes are these collisions actually involved within these collisions. So as you can see, 86% are cars, which is vehicular mode, followed by 4% of pedestrian and 4% truck and 2% bike. We're very, very, concerned about that 4% ped, 2% bike, and 2% motorcycles. We definitely want to look into what can be done to rectify those collisions. Also, if you get to violation categories, 32% is contributing to unsafe speed, followed by 29% automobile right-of-way and 9% traffic signal and sign violation. Again, unsafe speed is a very, very common violation category. And then we kind of bifurcated that even further down to see what is happening. So if you go to the next circle or a graph that we call it over here, the speed one, you see 56% is contributing to the corridors that have 30 miles per hour, 13% 45 miles per hour, and 13% 40 miles an hour, followed by 9% 35 miles an hour. So anything above 25 miles an hour has a higher chances of leading into a collision. So again, for corridors with higher speeds, we really need to see what can be done so that we can reduce the percentage of collisions at the corridors with higher speeds. And then lastly, the lighting conditions. As you can see, 16 plus 10 plus 2 plus 2. So almost like 28%, around 30% of collisions occur during nighttime. Anything that is dark not lighted or lighted, dusk and dawn, we generally consider that as nighttime collisions. So over here, we are looking at approximately 28 to 30% happening at nighttime. Next slide, please. We also looked into pedestrian and bicycle collisions. As you can see, there is a lot of concentration of ped bike collisions throughout the area, and we really need to dive into this in the next step or the next task of our project, our plan, to look into what are the countermeasures or what are the actual reasons that we have so many ped bike collisions. So that is going to be our next task once we start diving into these projects. Next, please. Further down, actually, we are just initially starting with the collisions, and we have put both pedestrian and bicycle collisions on the same map, but we are going to separate it out and send it over so that everyone can look into where are these pedestrians and bicycle collisions actually occurring, and which are the corridors or the locations we really need to focus on. Just like we did the analysis for the entire MPO, we have also done the analysis for each county, the 3 counties that we have included and 2 cities. So for Cameron County, again, going through the same exercise that I did previously for the entire MPO, we are seeing that the KSI is pretty consistent from year to year. But again, your injury collisions have gone up starting 2019 through 2023. Monthly trends are kind of pretty much the same, sometimes lower, sometimes higher. Daily trends, again, most of the times weekends are higher for KSI collisions. And then in this case, our collisions at nighttime were pretty high, like the KSI collisions, the red line that you see in hourly trends, the nighttime collisions are pretty high, as well as your peak period collisions are pretty high. And then following the same trend as MPO, we have 1% fatal, 2% serious injury, 7% minor injury, and 10% possible injury with 80% of PDOs. Next, please. We again looked into the mode for Cameron County. It is kind of higher than the entire MPO that we looked at. 6% contributes to pedestrians, 3% motorcycles, and 2% bike. So again, kind of similar trend. We need to look into ped bike type of collisions and see what can be done. I'm not trying to say that we need to ignore vehicular collisions. Yes, definitely we need to, but I'm just kind of emphasizing on ped bike because the total impact of collision for pedestrian and bicycles are much higher that leads to KSI. So we kind of need to bring that balance into countermeasures and safety projects that we come up for those modes. We also looked at the violation category. Again, as I mentioned before, unsafe speed, automobile right-of-way were the 2 top violation categories that were seen in Cameron County. And then the trend is the same. If you look at like 55 miles an hour, 35 miles an hour, 45 miles an hour, and 30 miles an hour, they have maximum collisions that lead to injury collisions when we look at the trend. And then the lighting conditions, again, it is in that same range of 65 to 70% in daylight, and then remaining 30% at nighttime. Next, please. Cameron County, we also looked into pedestrian and bicycle collisions. So this map kind of shows the concentration of those collisions at locations, as you can see. And we also want to know from you today that whether the analysis is kind of validating what your experiences might be out there. So please let us know if you see similar kind of trends when you are traveling through these corridors and intersections. Next, please.
Rita, before we move to the next slide, on the Cameron County slide for the ped and bike, I want to mention that the reason you might be thinking that why there is no ped or bike collisions occurring within the 2 cities of Brownsville and Harlingen. As I mentioned earlier, that we are doing a separate analysis for Brownsville and Harlingen, so that's why they are not included within the Cameron County. So we would be going over on the slides for Brownsville and Harlingen later on in the presentation.
Thanks, Diane. And yeah, you,
To the-
just to kind of reiterate what you're saying, I think our team or our members here can see that the city limits are in gray and that you don't see any of those icons where, and I think that's, Diane, that's what you're talking about, right? Is that this is an analysis for the county areas, not the municipal areas.
That's correct.
All right,
Rita,
thank
back to
you.
you.
There we go.
Oh, thank you. And I know that this is a lot of information that we are throwing at you. So at any time, if you have questions later on, please jot it down so that we can answer them. And also, if there's something that we are missing that you want us to look into, please do let us know. So moving on to Hidalgo County, again, the trends are pretty similar. I don't want to kind of repeat my sentences over and over again, but KSI pretty consistent with all injury collisions going up from 2019 to 2023. Weekends are higher, peak periods are higher. Along the same severity percentages where 70% is contributing to PDO, 1% fatal, 2% serious injuries, 8% minor, and then around 22% possible injuries. So it's kind of in the same range. Next, please. 4% truck traffic involving in the collisions, 3% peds, 2% motorcycles, 2% bicycles, 88% vehicular traffic. Violation category, again, the same two culprits as we are seeing throughout. Violation categories are unsafe speed and automobile right-of-way and traffic signal and sign violation. Again, we really need to dive into this and see where can we make those improvements to reduce these kind of collisions, because they do lead to a lot of fatal and severe injury collisions. So we want to avoid those as much as possible. And again, any speed limit that is higher than 25 miles an hour has major contribution to these collisions. As you can see, 54% is 30 miles an hour, 17, 45, and 14% 40 miles an hour. Again, lighting conditions are along the same range, 70% daylight and 30% dark conditions. So definitely we will dive into those areas where, we have those darker conditions and look into whether we need to look at some of these projects that are related to street lights or things like that. So we'll dive into it in the next task of this whole process. We also looked into the pedestrian bicycle collisions for Hidalgo County. As you can see, a lot of ped bike collisions, a lot of concentration everywhere. So we will dive into what kind of safety projects can we come up with. Whether there are trails out there that can be connected to the bicycle infrastructure or pedestrian infrastructure on the corridors and intersections, and provide that great connectivity so that they can avoid certain areas with higher vehicular traffic. We look into all those different things. And if you do have ideas, please do let us know. When we start developing those safety projects, we can kind of incorporate those ideas into it. Next, please. Similar trend for Starr County for yearly trends, for daily trends. Daily trends, we saw a little bit of difference actually. There were higher collisions during weekdays rather than weekends. So maybe just the traffic patterns and things are different, but that was a little different from the other counties that we saw. Again, the hourly trends are also pretty kind of skewed all over. So there's no specific peak period or peak hour, but again, that specific peak period, like 4 to 6, yes, it does go up. The afternoon peak or morning peak 10 to 12 does go up. It's just that the peak periods are probably shifted, and it could be that the traffic conditions are different in this county versus the other counties. So that's the difference for Starr County.
I have a
Yes.
theory, Ruta. I just
Ah,
wanted to share my theory out loud. The Stark County is rural, and I think, and I could be wrong. I'm just, hypothesizing, but there's a lot of freight traffic and commercial transportation traffic, and they typically are operating during, quote unquote working hours. So I'm wondering if it's that movement of traffic that makes those the peak hour for this rural county, just because it'll have different transportation trends as people are passing through it. Um,
mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
If
If
I'm
we
a,
go one slide up, sorry. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, if I'm a resident of Starr County, I live in
Uh,
this is Belinda, precinct 4. I work with Hidalgo County, but I live in Starr. So yeah, I think in the rural areas, I mean, it's obviously hard. There's a lot of traffic and whatnot that does go through those areas, as opposed to them within Rio Grande City, Roma, those areas. So a mix.
no, that's valuable, Belinda. We need more people voicing for that county, so we can learn more about its trends and its needs. So, yeah, I'm sorry, Ruta, to interrupt, but I thought that was fascinating, and I wanted to throw my hypothesis out there to see what we heard.
No, these are some great points. And see that was the reason why we are having this presentation, right? There are certain things that you would know better than us, and that's what we want you to let us know so that we can think from that perspective. Every agency is different. Their traffic patterns are different. The mode choice is different. The usage is different. Rural is very different from urban. So that's the reason you see all these different trends. But again, knowing that from you and validating that from all of you really gives us a starting edge where we can come up with the right safety projects to help you guys out. So all these inputs that you're giving me is amazing. Great. Thank you so much. And if you have more, please let us know or send us emails also. Um, with that, next slide, please. So we did look at, and I think this is validating what you're saying. 5% of the collisions are contributed to truck. We have not seen that high percentage up there, right? It was generally in the range of 2, 3, and 4, but here the percentage of trucks getting involved in collisions are higher. So 5% is truck, 82% vehicular, 3% ped, 1% bike. Bikes have gone down again, rural, so not a lot of people bike, or maybe there's not enough infrastructure that we provide them so that they can use other modes of transportation. So maybe that is one of the reasons. Violation category, again, unsafe speed, automobile right of way are the two violation categories. When we say other unforeseen reasons, that 11%, that means we do not have of specific attribute that what are those collisions and why have they occurred. So that's the reason we have identified them as other unforeseen reasons. It could be any reason that we are not aware of. Speeds, again, 84% contribute to 30 miles an hour, 5% to 20, 3% to 25, and 3% to 40 miles an hour and 45 miles an hour. So again, very different trend from the other counties. Lighting conditions are pretty much the same, 70% daylight and 30% nighttime. Next, please. Um, as you can see that a lot of these collisions that are contributing to pet bike collisions are very close to the 83 corridor. Again, it is a different setup, completely different land use setting. So we'll see a little different trend here. Next, please. City of Brownsville. We looked at the modes of collisions that were involved. 87% vehicular traffic, 5% peds, 3% bikes, 2% motorcycles. We also actually, I forgot to mention that we also looked into school buses that are involved in these collisions, and that's 1%, which is again pretty consistent throughout the different areas that we have looked into. Violation categories, again, unsafe speed, automobile right of way, and improper turning. Speed collisions that are related to corridors with higher speed are again pretty high. Lighting conditions, again, that split of 70-30. Yearly trends, pretty consistent on the KSI, that is the fatal and severe injury collisions, higher since 2020 for all injury collisions. Again, daily trends higher during weekends, and then you do see some KSIs during nighttime. Again, you generally see the fatal and severe injury collisions at nighttime pretty high, is because there are less number of vehicular traffic out in on our corridors, and the impact is higher because their speeds are generally higher at nighttime when they're driving through the corridors. So you'll see that, and then during peak periods, again, you'll see that there are higher KSI collisions. Collisions by severity, 70% contributing to vehicular, PDO, 1% fatal, 1% serious injuries, 7% minor, 20% possible injuries. So that's kind of the trend for city of Bronzeville. Next, please. A lot of pedestrian bicycle collisions, as we saw. 5% is ped and 3% is bikes, and we will dive into this area and see what can be done. City of Harlingen, again, the yearly trends are pretty similar. Daily trends, weekends, your peak periods, nighttime collisions are pretty high. Collision severity, 70-30 split. As you can see, 70% is PDO, 30% all injury collisions with different percentages on fatal, severe, minor, and possible injury. Next slide, please. Modes, 5% contributing to pets, 3% bikes, 2% motorcycles, 87% vehicular traffic. In this case, we have more of automobile right-of-way collisions followed by unsafe speed, which is just a few percentages here and there. But again, the same two violation categories followed by the third one, traffic signal and sign violation. So people are not obeying the traffic signals and signs. Probably we need to look into some kind of an enforcement strategy over here, but 10% contributing to that. Higher percentage of collisions where the speed limits are higher, and then lighting conditions, 10% more than other areas that we have looked into, but 80% contributing to daylight and 20% nighttime. Again, pedestrian and bicycle collisions, they're not as much as clustered as other cities and counties that we have seen. They're kind of spread it out quite a bit, but we do need to look into what can be done as the alternatives or safety projects here. Next, please. Sorry, can you move to the next? This is kind of a question we are asking right now. If they have any questions,
that's correct.
I go to sharing my screen to show them the website.
Yes, please.
Okay.
So as I mentioned earlier, that we have developed a website and which is live on Rgvmpo website. You can access it. And Ruta is just trying to bring up the website that's been active. And we have identified a location to provide us your feedback or concerns, what you might be seeing it, since you are operating and you are going through it on a day-to-day basis via an interactive map. You can access from the website on the Rgvmpo. Ruta, go ahead.
So as Nayan mentioned, that we do have a project website, and it kind of provides you with some information of project overview. What is the comprehensive action plan, and what are we planning on doing, our project area, Collision history, we are still working on it, so we will be updating the collision history. I'll come back to the report your concerns, because that will take me to the next step. But you will see all the collisions here with layers, and you can zoom in. We are finalizing this, so this will be updated pretty soon, in a week's time. Also, if you want to stay up to date on the project updates, that particular section is right here. We will keep on updating this section. If you want to provide the feedback, please let us know your concerns. We will be more than happy to look into it. And we actually want to receive those from you again, because you know your area better than we do. So as many feedbacks we can get from you, we would really, really appreciate it. And then if you want to stay connected, please do leave us your email addresses, so that we can send you notification of the next meetings or open houses, or tours or bike tours or public outreach meetings that we might have. Now, going back to the area report your concern, this is one of the important areas that you really want to kind of stop and spend some time. You click on report your concern, and it takes you to a map input platform that we have developed. I want to make sure that you can see the map input platform.
And we can, Ruta.
Okay. So here, there are a couple of things that you can do. Again, it tells you what the CASP is, and what areas are we going to. Just click on the next page. Again, you can leave your name, your email address. It's optional. If you do not want to and be discreet, just it's completely optional. Optional. You don't have to. You go to the next page, and right here there is a map. There are two options to this. One is pinning a location or drawing a line. So say, for example, if you want to get, let me just get into Harlingen, maybe right here. You do have a concern at the intersection of, say, East Austin Avenue and North First Street. You can take this, you can pin that location, and you can say, I cross this intersection and I feel crossing is not safe. Please look into high visibility crosswalks, for example.
Yeah, Rude, I just want to like reiterate to the group. We were talking, and I mean, basically, your community, where you want to walk and bike, where you've seen individuals make dangerous dashes across the roadway. And so I know there's a couple of areas where I'm like, I like the idea of like traffic calming, countermeasures with like curb extensions. But if like it just needs a more visible sidewalk, or that area is very dark, that's definitely all kinds of feedback like that is what we're looking to receive. And just remember, I mean, really your feedback, it's a gift to us, but we're talking about the safety of others. We're talking about reducing serious injuries, and hopefully your comments, your feedback on this plan could potentially save lives in the future. And it'll definitely help us determine where we're going to be making our investments in terms of our federal and public dollars. So I don't want to take it lightly. We've given a lot of data to show why we need your feedback. And I want to thank TJKM and Melanie for leading that. But again, as the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, knowing that the cyclists and the pedestrians are the vulnerable road users, I really want to encourage you, or if you want, drop the link, share it with others, help us get feedback from your community. But reporting these concerns, again, will really help us make a difference here in our region. So thanks, Ruta, for that example.
Thank you.
One additional thing I want to mention is that on the interactive map, you also have a flexibility to pin a location, specific location, or you can tell us the corridor by drawing a line, for example. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, that was the next thing I was going to say. So you can either pin a location or draw a line. Say, for example, you would like to see a bike path through Tyler Avenue. You can say that, I would really like to see a bike path through Tyler Avenue. Could you look into adding a bike facility? So once you do that, we'll go and look at it. We'll look at all the collisions, what is the right of way, whether this can be done or not, how does it connect to the other facilities, and we can definitely look into having a possible bike facility on West Tyler Avenue. So this is just an example. Maybe that's not what you want to tell us, but again, that is why we have created this map. So it's not only you going to this map, but if you can share this link with others within your community, that would be great, because as many inputs as we get, it would be really helpful for us to pin down those safety projects and countermeasures that could make our area, our region safer for all modes of transportation. So we really urge you to spread the word around and give us as many comments and concerns and feedback that you could probably provide us with. Um, Also, I would like to take this opportunity, if you want me to zoom into a particular area and you want to let us know, what your concerns are, I'm more than happy to zoom into a particular area and talk about it. Right, Melanie, Eva, any?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked a little bit about it, and I think we saw it in that Stark County, like the freight traffic and the movement there. I know I'm, from Brownsville area, and sometimes we just have like these major thoroughfares that are like 7 lanes wide, and so we don't have to, if we want to zoom into an area, let's just, I think any international corridor really um, could be dangerous. But just, do you want to do a demo, Ruta, or
Ruta, why don't we try to quickly bring up the satellite image um, and try to find a
to
location?
show them? Yeah. I know you gave us some samples here with the city of Harlingen, but
Is
just so
there a
you can,
particular area you want me to zoom
sure,
in?
if you could go to like the city of Brownsville and just like zoom into where it says Matamoros, right along the border. Brownsville's
Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry, you guys might have to
Uh,
guide me through if you want me to.
I'm like, it's the tip, it's the very tip at the bottom. The east, yeah. I guess I should use, yeah, that would make sense. Use my directional words. Go east to southeast, close to the coast. Yeah. So keep following that border. Go low. Yeah, there we go. Now zoom in right there. Where that little peak is, right there. That's our urban core. That's our original town site right in there. That's perfect. Yeah. And so you can kind of see this is like a pedestrian and major thoroughfare here at right there at that international bridge, but it also leads you directly to our downtown area and that La Plaza parking garage. So that's our bus terminal and transfer station. So there's a lot of pedestrians, a lot of vehicles. Traffic gets really backed up. And the region has moved commercial traffic to a different bridge a little bit further north, but there's a university there, and so again, right there in that block radius in that area that you're zoomed into right there, that's the La Plaza bus terminal. And again, you have students, you have people crossing to and from Mexico, so I would want to highlight that area, zoom in there, and talk about how we can, make areas safer.
Yeah. So,
Go ahead.
Ruth, and for the group, so what the f- the input what you can provide is like you can zoom to the driveway level and you can identify where it might be an issue. For example, the one what you're seeing right now, the intersection of Adams and International Boulevard, right? You can specify by a specific quadrant of the intersection where you see that it might be a safety issue for the pedestrian and bicyclist.
Right. And then as I was kind of like showing you, I just realized this is the TxDOT intersection, but I know like, again, like there where the university crosses, we really just want to pay attention to where we know we have that foot or pedestrian. I mean, and for all mode users, but I guess like if I was here and I had the website up and I was sharing my screen, I would select that area, I would draw a line, maybe talk about like safer crossings, or I even think like sometimes loading zones to move the vehicles out of the way, because you know when you dedicate areas for either the vehicles or for people to walk, then that would kind of help improve safety. But if anybody has any challenges, you know, just let us know. You can reach out to Melanie or myself, and we'd be happy to walk and guide you through some of this. Additionally, like Ruta said, we really want you all to help us distribute this outreach and get feedback from all levels and from all kinds of people. So we'll talk internally at the Rgvmpo, but if you do have social media, we have a Facebook, and we have something else. What do we have?
Twitter.
The Twitter, the X. And so we'll be making a post. And if you know, sometimes it's easier to just hit share and help us promote it that way. So keep an eye out on our Facebook and on our X. And yeah, help us share and distribute this. And again, always feel free to reach out to the MPO if you need help using this tool.
Also, it's not only about sharing your concerns or things that are not right. We would also like to know that if there are countermeasures out there that are working for you, please do let us know that, you know what, we love these RRFBs. They're working for our area. We would like to see more of those, or wherever there is an opportunity, please do that. Or we like the bicycle facility that is separated, which has the class 4 bicycle facilities that are separated from the normal traffic by a buffer. If you like that, and if it is working for your area, please do let us know that these are the countermeasures or these are the safety type of projects that we would like to see more, so that we can think about it from that perspective too.
Um, so please help us out by providing the feedback on the things what might be not unsafe, or as Ruta and Eva mentioned, that please let us know what has worked within your jurisdiction so that it can help us to identify the countermeasures and the strategies that we should consider in deploying it so that we can make the community safer. We would really appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Nyan and Ruda. I'm going to go ahead and go back and share my screen. Oh, go ahead.
Melanie, Eva, before we move to the next one, if we can bring up quickly the presentation on the next slide, and before we talk about the next BPAC meeting, I wanna have Ellison give us a brief input or overview on what we are planning on the public outreach during the last week of this month. Ellison?
Yes, our team will be out in the community September 27th and 28th. Specifically, we will be at the market at Wild August in Harlingen on Friday evening from 6 to 9 p.m. And then on Saturday, we will be at the Brownsville Farmers Market from 9 a.m. to noon, hosting a booth on behalf of the Rgvmpo specifically for this project. And our goal is to interact with individual community members and get their feedback on problematic areas. So we will have laptops available for them to give us their feedback, live feed that we can insert into the technology tool that Ruta was just sharing. So I'm hoping also maybe Ava or Melanie, we can post that on the MPO's social media channels to let folks know that they should look for us out there and to visit with us. And we'll have and additional information on the project itself, but our goal really is to get community members to interact with us in live time to talk about problematic areas. And so those are two upcoming outreach opportunities we'll be participating in.
Thanks, Alison. And the last thing I want to mention about that we have our next BPAC meeting scheduled on January 8th, 2025, and Melanie would be sending out as we get closer to the meeting an invite for it. With that, thanks for everyone's time, and I would like to turn it back to Melanie and Eva.
Thank you all so much. We really appreciate it. Again, yeah, thank you, Richard. Please do a lot of feedback on this. I know you can't get your mic working right now, but I appreciate you using the chat. I know you have a lot of cycling friends, and I know you do the rural and urban areas. So if you could share this with your friends as well, yeah, that'd be really helpful. So thanks to the team. I know we're running a little bit short on time, but we captured kind of the links. This, of course, is going to go immediately on our website afterwards. And then again, keep an eye on our social medias as we continue to promote this. You saw the scheduled timeline, and so we're going to be working on that. Are there any questions, comments, or any other discussion points from our members before we move on? Okay, well, thank you all again. So I'm going to burn through this really quickly. This is item 4D. The TASA working group meeting, as you all know, we're looking to have a 2025, 2027 TASA call for projects. So as part of our federal requirements, we do engage with our members, our planning partners, and open up the scoring criteria and the program information overall for public comment. But what we did was have our first working group meeting for overall program feedback. It went really well, and I'm going to review the results here shortly. This Friday, we do have our next one, but I'll burn through this. We're going to come back to the timeline of activities at the end. So as part of the feedback, we had a really great turnout. I was super surprised. I think the last call, we had about like 10, maybe, I'd be surprised if we had 15 responses, but what should we be focus areas should we prioritize? Connectivity and safety were top. Public health, quality of life, mobility came in second. And then we asked how many fiscal years should we program? Typically in the past, the Rio Grande Valley has done 2-year calls for projects, but the way things are building up speed and the way that costs are increasing, we're actually making available 3 years worth of allocated funding. And so we're going to have about 11.6 million to program during this call for projects. We asked, what is the most important in terms of sections of the program guide, and we found project evaluation and scoring selection criteria was what people were most interested in, eligibility and other requirements, and then what is actually an allowable cost, and then more information on project implementation and the summary of the funding opportunity. I'm not going to go through each one of these, but I did see some kind of patterns in some stuff we should take into consideration. Here you see, trainings, highlight the suggested trainings, what previous projects were completed. There was some like, please don't limit to geographic areas, but again, wanting to know more about previous awards. So just again, this is going to be posted on our website. You'll be able to go through it in your own time. But this is the feedback that Melanie and I utilize in order to make revisions and amendments to the Rgvmpo's program guide, scoring criteria, and ultimately the application. So we asked about this, categories, weights, and maximums. So it looks like we want simplicity, PSNE for projects. There's more information about required right-of-way, taking into account zoning. And then we asked people to rank the strategies to ensure equitable geographic representation. And the top choice was rotating evaluators from different areas to make sure all regions are represented. And we are going to get more input on this before we determine ultimately who the evaluators will be for this call for projects. And then overall project feedback, they liked how the last program went really last year. The program gets better every year. That's what we want to hear. We want to make improvements for our planning partners, for our community year after year. and then I like this one. Evaluators should participate in 2 out of the 3 workshops. I'm not sure we'll get the support for that, but I do think that that was kind of cool to kind of, make a requirement for evaluators. Having non-biased evaluators or seeking RFQ, I thought that was interesting. I mean, this just shows to me the input can be very diverse and that there are a lot more things to consider than maybe I would consider on my own. But I do not wanting to take too much time. This is what we're tentatively proposing for our schedule. If all things go well and our next 2 working groups go smoothly, then we're hoping to open the call for projects November of this year. We will have a 2 months, about a month and a half for communities to request technical assistance on their application. And again, this is just to request the assistance. We can continue to provide the assistance once requested here during this next month, but we're anticipating a deadline in January of 2025 for submittal. Of course, we understand the holidays, so it'll probably be later in that month. And then that'll give us February for the MPO and TxDOT staff to review applications. And then once we kind of determine eligibility and everything looks good, then we'll pass that on to the evaluators. It says BPAC review because we haven't determined who our evaluators will be. If it will be the existing membership of BPAC or not, I encourage you to attend the working group meetings to give us your feedback. But then we'll have a special meeting for presentations of the projects and for evaluation because we know that can take a long time depending on how many applications we receive. And then once we have a recommendation, again, it says Rgvmpo Bpac, but ultimately the evaluators, then we'll be presenting those recommendations to TAC and policy, hopefully in May, again, if all things go well, and we'll be awarding those projects. So if anybody has any questions, I'll take them now. But again, this Friday is the next one that we have going on. All right. Well, hearing no questions and running out of time, I'm going to move forward. I would like to actually table this item. If I could have a motion to table, I just want to give Marisa, Maya a chance to present a quick update for us, and then we have some other items, and this is worth kind of spending some time on. But ultimately, if you weren't aware, we do have a FAR district bike plan. But can I get a motion for a table?
I'll motion to table. City
Thank you.
somebody.
Thank you.
A second.
Thank you, Javier. Do all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes, and we'll just go right on ahead to presentation of the presentation discussion on the Gata Gata trails. And so if you weren't aware, I did put up their website about the work that they're doing. And then I know that Marisa has been instrumental in getting the Gata Gata trails information on the website and then promoting physical activity and just ultimately programming along the Gata Gata Trails network. So with that, I'll just pass it over, let Marisa introduce herself, and let me know if you're ready to share your screen, Marisa.
Thank you so much, Eva. Yes, I'm ready to share my screen.
Great, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. If you guys can just let me know that you can see it.
Looks good.
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you guys for having me. I just wanted to give some quick updates on what's happening or what has been happening on the Gata Gata trails this quarter. At the end of August, we hosted an in-person meeting at the South Texas Ecotourism Center where our partners had the chance to update us on what they have been working on. I'm just going to give you a really brief overview of a few of the items that were discussed. So Tu Salud Si Cuenta is in the process of applying for a new grant to add additional exercise classes to the programming on the trails. The town of Los Indios is collaborating with TxDOT on a road widening project. The city of Los Fresnos plans to extend its trail system to connect all city parks to its nature trail, and they have secured funding to begin this in 2026. Cameron County Parks plan to begin phase 1 of their Olmito Nature Park, which is a total of about 39 acres. It will have 2 fishing piers, a large picnic pavilion, nature pavilions, and will be the site of a Cameron County Constable station. Phase 2 of the Nature Center will begin also in Olmito with a kayaking launch and or a few different kayaking launch sites, and that will go into Olmito Lake. And they plan to connect this park into the Olmito Trail system. And Laguna Atascosa let us know that their gates are now open for hiking and biking, and they plan to host bike tours from Highway 106 to Buena Vista this fall. San Benito received a grant to add fitness courts to their parks, and they're also planning to install solar lights along their trails. The city of Port Isabel, it is El Paseo's Hike and Bike Trails 30th year anniversary that they're celebrating, so they plan to add new signage to their trails to celebrate that. The city of South Padre added additional biking lanes on Gulf Boulevard this past year, and they don't plan to do a ribbon cutting, but they do plan to update their maps and add that to their website. So we're trying to assist with that. Brownsville, we know that the extension of Palo Alto National Battlefield into Los Fresnos is underway, and they are also working on extending Southmost Nature Trail as well as other projects. This is just a few of the ones they're working on. The South Texas Ecotourism Center in Laguna Vista is hosting an event called Walk for the Wild. And the Friends of Laguna Atascosa, this is a huge fundraiser. It's free for everybody, but it's going to be October 12th. And the fundraiser goes towards any donations for people that show up, but it will be truly walking from South Texas Ecotourism into the Bahia Grande. So when we were there last time, we saw jackrabbits, nilgai, some other different animals during the planning phases. So we're excited to go back. And we also know that Rio Hondo and Harlingen have been working together on their trail systems, and we plan to meet with them one-on-one this month. The Cara Cara Trails is truly dedicated to becoming more involved within the community. So saying that, we were able to host our first ever event this past June in partnership with Palo Alto National Battlefield. The event was a success with over 180 attendees, and we had nothing but positive feedback from our vendors who have expressed their commitment to return next year if we host again. The next event that you see here is called Fill the Kayak. In an effort to raise awareness about our paddling trails, we teamed up with Beach Water Park on South Padre, and this was a week-long event. It allowed us to showcase, and they allowed us to bring 2 kayaks to their park so that we can engage with their visitors, sharing information about our paddling trail and other trails that are part of the Cara Cara network. In order to incentivize participation, for every $10 worth of school supplies donated and placed into the kayaks, 50% off on a water park ticket. So we were able to collect over $5,000 worth of school supplies that were then donated and distributed to 5 school districts within Cameron County. This slide just showcases some of the events that we plan to attend, and our goal is to attend a minimum of 2 events per month. So if y'all are hosting one, please let us know, reach out, we'd love to be there. And just like Eva had mentioned before, we've made it a priority to improve our website and to mainly enhance user experience. The homepage has been updated to prioritize customer usability over what our partner needs were. So we wanted people to, when they got there, be able to access, the trail pages right away. So one of the things we added was a section called Explore Our Trails. And it's obviously easily accessible from the homepage. Visitors can use the Learn More buttons, and it'll take them to find more detailed information about that specific trail. And obviously our goal is to keep adding on as we communicate with municipalities and make sure that every Cara Cara trail is on our website. So that's something that's still ongoing. And then additionally, we've introduced the upcoming activities section, which highlights classes and free activities. to the customers, and we wanted to make sure also that that was also on the homepage so they can easily access that and see that. And that's it. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thanks so much, Marisa. I appreciate you giving us that set of updates. And more than anything, you all, I really wanted to highlight, like, obviously Marisa went through a lot of information, I'm sorry, about what's happening on a regional level. Currently, right now, the Caracara Trails is I think maybe 12 municipalities in Cameron County. But as you know, the Hidalgo County Active Plan is currently under development. I know several of you have been, instrumental in that engagement and the development of that plan. But I wanted to kind of highlight too that orchestrating the regionality of the network and everything that's going on in these communities, as you know, Marisa, she makes it seem easy. She does a really great job of putting that forward, but it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and we're lucky to have one person to help us facilitate that. But I know she gets support as well from the Come Dream Come Build, where she's currently housed under. And so ultimately, I just kind of wanted to say that for us to consider what it takes, how it's funded, how are we going to do this across the region, but also just how well this is being pushed now compared to a year ago, compared to 2 years ago, for public facing and for user friendly activities. I know I'm very technical. I like to look at the data, and this shows that what Marisa is doing is really for the people. It's for that engagement, and hopefully I think will really help us see that increase in the tourism and out of county spending when we really get this ball rolling, and have people joining us here on the trails. Does anybody have any discussion questions for Marisa on this? We do still have some time. I don't anticipate to go through that much more, but I'd like to open the floor if anyone has any thoughts. Thanks, Richard. I know your mic's not working, but great updates. Go ahead, Belinda.
I just wanted to say that I got to hear Marisa as a panelist at the recent TATT conference in Austin, and so she represented the region, the Valley, very well. So just congratulate her on that.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
And also, yes. I was a little late to the call, but if kudos were given to Eva, she's the new chair too for the state tech dot, right? Bike planning, is that correct, Eva?
Correct, yeah.
On that. So I don't know if anybody noted that, but woohoo.
Thank you. I tend to forget, but I am super grateful. In case for those of you who don't know, obviously this is a regional bicycle and pedestrian advisory committee. I know some municipalities have their BPAC, but I've been sitting on the statewide bicycle and pedestrian advisory committee. It's managed by the Texas Department of Transportation. So really helping with these state efforts is something I've been doing for a little while, and I was very honored that they elected me to chair, as I kind of had 2 years left in my term, and to be chairing that will be really exciting. Obviously, my main goal is to help the whole state really with its connectivity, but bring some funding down to the Rio Grande Valley, right? And some programs. So I think everything's doing really well, and I'm happy that Marisa's with us and presenting on the Caracara Trails. And this was a wonderful conference. I know we saw people from McAllen. I saw people from Harlingen, Port Isabel. There were several municipalities present from the Rio Grande Valley. So there happen every 2 years, and we can hopefully get a bigger cohort out there. And obviously, Belinda, Hidalgo County, they were representing. So it was a good time. All right. Any other discussion or items on this? If not, I forgot. I tend to forget. Elected chair. I'll just put that in there, and then I'll come back and finish it later. But project updates. I do want to give a presentation real quick before I open it up. We at the MPO manage several categories of funding. Obviously, we're predominantly responsible for Category 9 here through the BPAC, but we've presented on transit funds when we did the 5310 call for projects. But with Category 7, it's unique. it's for Metro Mobility, and there were some changes made into the Texas Administrative Code back in January that required a 200% threshold of funding allocations. And so it's kind of tricky if you're not familiar with federal funding. But ultimately, the State Department is assessing our use of our programming or planned use for funds. And then if we do have this 200% more than 200% of our allocation carrying over, then they were basically consider implementing this new threshold, which would transfer the amount of Category 7 funds to Category 11, which is district discretionary, in this case, FAR district. And this isn't something that, we'd be able to stop. It has been determined through the Texas Administrative Code that it would be a report and notify type of situation, and wouldn't require approval of the Texas Transportation Commission. So that has been kind of taking up a lot of my time personally on here at the MPO, but it's very interesting. It's huge amounts of funding comparatively to bicycle and pedestrian. But I just kind of wanted to show, I have talked about obligation programming and obligation many times here with the BPAC. We were scheduled to obligate 25 million, but because of this new threshold, we really needed to increase utilization and decrease carryover. So kind of to better understand, the original estimates was back in January when the Texas Administrative Code passed, we were carrying over 374% of Category 7 funding. And so again, the threshold is 200. So we need to get closer. We needed to get under the 200, and we successfully more like doubled our obligation, and I'll explain a little bit more to you. These were very much estimates, and of course, until the fiscal year closes, then we were kind of like trying to determine what it was. But using these estimates, we were at risk. We being the RGV, we're at risk of having $57 million transfer. And now we're at risk of having 21, well, the estimate was 21.93 million transferred. So this is something that I've been spending a lot of time on here at the MPO to monitor. And then we recently got this as of August. So a big update from the state, looking at the Rgvmpo specifically. Again, we estimated that we would use or obligate about 60 million, but come August, we found out that we didn't reach our estimate goal. It wasn't 60 million, it was 52 million. And so instead of the 267% carryover, we actually have 292% carryover. And so we're carrying over a little bit more than we planned. We estimated we would be at risk of transferring 21 million, but we're at risk of transferring 30 million. So tomorrow I'll be leading a 2-hour meeting. It's going to be great. But we have, revised our program amounts. And so for fiscal year 25, we were scheduled to obligate 52 million originally, and then through the months as they changed and revision cycles went on, we increased that to 57 million. But I want to make it really clear, we were just looking at construction projects. And so when we incorporated the right of way, the utilities, and other phases, essentially now with revisions and projects advancing, we're seeing an estimate of 113 million scheduled to obligate. So this is tentative, it's an estimate, it's subject to change through every revision cycle that we have at the tip. But I just kind of wanted to explain this. It's obviously like a much bigger scale of what we do with TASA. But I thought, we should definitely talk to the BPAC just to educate and to inform about what other things the MPO does and what we're involved in. And so again, this of course would get us down to under our 200% threshold if we can accomplish it. And in case you're wondering, like, where is the 113 million coming from? This is the list of projects that we currently have. But there's a lot of moving pieces to it. And so the 2-hour meeting tomorrow will really be ironing this out, fleshing it out, trimming the fat, because we need a really strong commitment of project delivery and obligation of funds in order to ensure that we're meeting our under 200% threshold. And so this obviously goes back to the tip, what we program and what is authorized. And so when it comes to the last approved tip, this is what our summary is for category 7. And so you can see we had 97 million. You're probably thinking, Emma, that doesn't equate to 113 million. Well, that's because some projects are grouped. And so when you add the 97 with this 16 million, then you hit that $113 million. And when we analyze this, again, this is some of the information I'm presenting tomorrow, but when we analyze it, we're seeing that for the 4 years that we have, the short range plan that we have for category 7, 91% of our funds are being used for construction and construction engineering, while 9% is used for utility and right of way. Additionally, we analyze that for communities within Cameron County or within Hidalgo County, because Stark County doesn't have any funds from us. And so 100% of the 4 years worth of funding for right-of-way and utility is Hidalgo County. And then Cameron County gets about 24% of construction and construction engineering funds over the 4 years, with Hidalgo County taking home about 76. And if you wondered what communities is that going to, this was determined based on the project sponsors that have advanced funding agreements with the Texas Department of Transportation. And so you can see here, Hidalgo County Precinct 1 takes home a big amount over the 4 years. This isn't just 2025, it's over 4 years. But this is basically where we need to kind of monitor and make sure that we're as a region having the support and the capacity to deliver the projects and ultimately secure the federal funding in reimbursement for the 4 years. And in case you're wondering, usually federal funding is 80-20 split. And when we do the analysis of the funding, we can more accurately state that the federal government does provide 80%. And I was surprised by this, pleasantly surprised, but the state actually contributes 10 out of the 20% requirement. And we do determine that to be part of their economically disadvantaged counties program. We had a discussion with FAR District, and it seems to be that's predominantly where their 10% comes from. So the state does support the Rio Grande Valley in this way, but the local governments still contribute about 10% of that project cost in relation to their federal funding. So I really wanted to cover that. I know we've talked about, again, transit. We want to give you an update next time on the carbon reduction program. I just think this kind of better helps you all kind of see what other things the MPO is responsible for in terms of funding and project development. But I'll open the floor. We have about 3 minutes left. If anyone has any comments, you can drop it in the chat too. Okay, no problem. Use the chat.
I was
Go
just
ahead.
gonna say, sorry, it's been a good meeting, very informative, the information that you're sharing with us from a high level down to the project level and everything. So I greatly appreciate the trajectory that these meetings are going. And so I appreciate the updates, not only just category 9, category 7, like you were doing just now, and then providing those other updates from the conference. And it's great to see that the region showed up and showed out, right? So awesome.
Great, thanks. I appreciate that. I know we're running low on time, so again, feel free to reach out to me, use the chat. Our next meeting is in November, and so before I let everybody go, I'm just gonna leave you with some thoughts. Call me, catch up with me. Most of you have my number. But if you have any items for November, please reach out to me so we can add them to the agenda. We're also looking for a host. The LRGBDC's Ken Jones boardroom is already pre-booked. So if you're able to kind of hold a big group, I was surprised the last time we needed a larger space. Please reach out to me. If not, we will find one and I'll get that information out. It's not a problem. But then I'm starting to think about the 2025 meeting schedule, and that will be on the November agenda so that we can know what our meeting schedule will be for calendar year 2025. And then again, you all know I typically do like a Microsoft Forms to get your input, but what are going to be our 2025 BPAC goals? What are our items? What are we working towards? And I'm going to post this on our website. Thank you, Valindo. I'll definitely reach out to you for that room. But this is going to go on our website. I just wanted to like quickly regroup. This is what we did in January. This is what we did in March. This is what we did in May, in July. And even though we've only been meeting every other month, this kind of shows what we've been able to cover as the time goes on. This is what we covered today, and this is kind of tentatively what I have planned for November 6th. But give this a review. I don't think that we're capturing or doing like this. It's not limited to these items. We can definitely expand. But consider this. I'll post it on our website, and we will be meeting again November 6th. And there's my alarm for noon. So it'll be November 6th at 10:30 a.m. and I will be following up via email for the location. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Well, we're just gonna adjourn. Hey, Robert, oh,
Adjourn.
sorry.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Thank you so much. All right, all here, please say aye. I hope y'all have a good lunch. I hope to
Aye.
hear from y'all soon. Thank y'all so much for joining and engaging. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye, Emma.